discount for most things. You go to the dentist or the doctor or the accountant or lots of them. Take a taxi, pay a toll. You know the prices aren't going down.
Jim, you and I remember the evil day of August 15, 1971, when President Nixon closed the gold window and put price and wage controls on. Do you think we face a danger of price and wage controls once the prices start to go up? Will Obama do that?
Well, again, as you know, because you know a lot about history, politicians always take the easy way out, the temporary way out, the shortcut whenever things go wrong. Wage and price controls, the Republicans did it, the Democrats have done it in various times in American history, so of course they're going to do that. When prices are going berserk, they're going to blame it on everybody except themselves, rather than doing the honorable thing and say, guys, we have really messed up, we're going to resign. They're going to say, no, it's your fault, you're the ones who caused these problems, and now you're going to have to suffer. And they're going to say, Lew, as they always do, these are temporary, don't worry, and it won't affect you very much. And of course, in weeks, months, years later, we're still suffering the effects.
It seems like the Obama administration, and I guess certainly there have been previous administrations in American history that had a similarly anti-business attitude, Franklin Roosevelt and so forth, but already they have an anti-business attitude. They're openly expressing it. If things really start, well, I should say when things really start to go bad in terms of inflation and other problems, just how much is this anti-capitalist attitude, what kind of an effect is that going to have on policy? I mean, what do you think they might actually do to us?
Well, the good news or the bad news is that they're going to be more and more limited in what they do because the markets are just not going to let them. I mean, they can try to do various and sundry things, but then right now they're controlling the long-term bond market, or trying to, but eventually they're not going to be able to do a lot of these things. Eventually the market's just going to say no. I hope it doesn't happen in the next few years, but there could very well be social unrest in America, too. And there's not a whole lot that they're going to be able to do if things get as bad as they could under their system. You have to remember, Mr. Obama ran on two platforms. He ran on the platform to tax capital. Now, what kind of genius would tax capital, raise taxes on capital in period of the greatest capital shortages in history? His other platform was protectionism. Well, he's already started talking more and more protectionist, and so his basic instincts are anti-capital, which is what America desperately needs, and protectionism, which could lead to disaster, just as it did in the 1930s. So I'm afraid his instincts, even if he knew what he was doing, which he doesn't, his instincts are such that he wants more controls and things which will devastate the economy and the world, not just America, the world economy.
And Jim, when we talk about protectionism and economic troubles, sometimes governments have sought to war as a way to distract the people in these kinds of circumstances. So I guess, we face, who knows, but some very unfortunate things. Thank goodness for you, you're living in Singapore. But I wanted to ask you about a tax question. I'm told that the United States is the only government on the face of the earth that taxes somebody who lives and earns money outside of the country. Is that correct, It's
not the only country, but it's one of the very, very few. The Philippines does too, but they learned the tax system from the IRS, the American IRS. No, it is a little absurd if you think about it, and that's why virtually no other country does it. But if you are an American, no matter where you live, even if you never go back to the States for whatever reason, you still have to, and you don't earn any money in the States, you still have to pay U.S. taxes on all your income worldwide. As I say, very few other countries do it, but it is absurd. But yes, I pay taxes. I pay American taxes. I vote in American elections. I have an American passport. But it certainly doesn't seem just to me, but that's the system.
Jim, you said recently that you're not selling your gold, and indeed you might even be buying more gold. Tell us about that. And do you think that for the average Joe in America facing what we're talking about, is it a good idea for him to hold a few Krugerrands?
Well, I'm the average Joe, so I'm doing it. That doesn't mean I know what I'm doing. It doesn't mean I'm right, but I do own gold coins. I don't think I own any Krugerrands specifically, but I own coins from Austria and Canada and America and other countries. Yes, I think everybody should have some gold as an insurance policy, if nothing else, Lew. You have life insurance, you have medical insurance, and you hope you never use your medical insurance or your life insurance. Well, you can look at gold that way, too. If you at worst, just look at it as insurance and hope you lose money on your gold. But if you don't lose money, and if things do get worse and worse, you're going to make a whole lot of money on your gold. The gold situation for gold right now, as you know, is that the IMF is desperately trying to get permission to sell huge amounts of its gold, and they're one of the largest holders of gold in the world. I don't know if it'll happen, but if it does, that could cause gold to go down for a while. If something happens and causes gold to go down for a while, then I hope I'm smart enough and brave enough to buy some more.
Well, it'd be magnificent. And Jim, you've also talked about farming, and maybe if somebody's smart, rather than being a stockbroker in the years ahead, they're going to want to be a farmer.
Well, throughout history, we've had periods when the people who were the money changers, the financial types, were the sort of the center of the universe, and that's been the case for the past 30 years worldwide. But we've also had many periods in world history when the people who produced real goods, farmers, miners, lumberjacks, these were the people who were the center. And in my view, it's shifting. The financial area is going to be a backwater like it was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and it's going to be the people who produce real goods again. Farming has been a horrible, horrible profession for the past 30 years. In my view, that's going to change, and everybody who can produce real things is going to make a much, much, much better living and have much more influence for another few decades. There's nothing radical. I mean, it may sound radical to a guy who just got his MBA and wants to be a stockbroker, but I assure you it's been going on for centuries.
Jim, I was talking to a brilliant student at an American university not too long ago. I asked him what he was majoring in, and he told me, I'm taking the Jim Rogers curriculum. He said, I'm majoring in agronomy and minoring in Chinese. So there you go.
Well, he's clearly brilliant if you ask me, but who knows if I know what I'm talking about. But that's great. I think I might just reverse it and major in Chinese and minor in agronomy, but either way.
Jim Rogers, thanks a million for coming on the show today. It's an honor to have you, as always, and you're very, very nice to do it.
It's always my pleasure, Lou. Let's do it again.
You've been listening to The Lew Rockwell Show, produced by LewRockwell.com, the best-read libertarian website in the world. Thanks for listening.